I know we're about to hop into game here, so a couple little tidbits of knowledge that Rich dropped on me since he's not going to actually be on this cast. He's never played a professional event before. Rolex hasn't. He has no coach, no analyst. He's actually a huge fan of Morten, who this year Rolex said, I am going to be a professional Clash Royale player. And one of the ways he did that was by watching hundreds, if not thousands of hours, as we know that's up there, of Morten, his opponent, right now, learning how to be a better player. And the last little thing that I thought was fascinating, Juicy, was in the group stage phase, Rolex ran the same deck set the entire time, and it was based off the idea that he knew his set, or his group, was relatively easy, and he did not want other people to know what decks he wanted to pick. So all that little player bio here on Rolex to see how he does, but Juicy, I already know he's winning points in your book. Is that an E-Giant I see here in game number 1?
That is an E-Giant. This is the deck I was playing on ladder, and I got top 20 in the world on ladder just the other day with this, and I'm extremely happy to see it because I think it's so good in the meta. And the reason why I think so is because we are currently in a meta where, you know, aggression and high beatdown style decks is kind of key because you have to be able to bait out those Dagger Duchess daggers, and once you do that though, then the beatdown push just kind of rolls through. But at the same time, E-Giant is not only a beatdown deck, but it's also a control deck in the fact that it's really solid defense. So I think it's perfect the meta, but Goblin Drill is the one matchup that you really do not want to play against. So Morten with a great starting matchup here.
Yeah, I mean, you got the double buildings. The Tesla Evo is going to be tough. The Dagger Duchess is going to be really, really helpful here. But like you said, once she's out of those daggers, it can be really difficult to take care of these E-Giants. And here we go. Here's the first example of that here for Morten. A late Tesla luckily will stun, but does not retarget. And that is a great, great start here for Rolex, already up almost 1,000 HP. And the other part of this E-Giant deck, Juicy, that I feel like is really great is that because of the cheap cards in it, like the Bomber and then the Little Prince that gives you that 3-card cycle, Lightning is really good in the meta right now. You got a great way to take out pumps and do good damage there since pump is everywhere. And you also have a really good way to get on top of those beefier support cards like the Dragons that we were talking about before in those Golem decks. So I actually really love Lightning right now, and I actually really love this E-Giant deck.
Yeah, that's a great call. The Lightning also almost one-shotting Tesla. You know, a lot of the time we used to see Bomb Tower in the drill decks like this, but the Tesla getting one-shot by Lightning is going to be a major difference maker. And then going back to the cheap cards, the Bomber for Rolex is going to be able to cheaply defend these drills really well. Here comes the E-Giant in the back. He's going to try and make a push off of this. And he's got the Evo Knight on the left side, just kind of blocking lane here already, which is perfect.
An aggressive Little Prince at the bridge there from Rolex to try to deal with the Mighty Miner. Evo Bomber comes down here for Morten. Now Morten edging towards tying things up here. Juicy, you know this matchup well. You've played both these decks quite a bit. What needs to happen for either player here to take the lead? Although Morten right now might be in trouble.
Yeah, the thing that you have to do on defense if you're Morten is you need to pull these big pushes to the opposite lane Dagger Duchess, and because of these building placements, that is not happening. Phoenix is on tower, and that is just game right there.
And the other thing, too, about the Dagger Duchess matching up against Phoenix, man, is you see how difficult it is to get on top of that egg now, right? You got to worry about the Bomber being lined. Bomber out, and of course, Evo Knight out here for Rolex on the other side of it. Evo Tesla, Evo Bomber out as we hop into game number 2. Morten showing a Rage, Rolex showing an Ice Spirit.
Mighty Miner as well. Maybe Rolex is going to some Goblin Drill himself here, and Morten looking like he's using a Bowler, Rage, Archer's deck, some sort of beatdown deck. I mean, it really could be Goblin Giant or Giant, I would assume. We do see a Mighty Miner ability. Sorry.
He created the other day like a giant pump deck that was really interesting. So I think I don't know if it's the exact same one here, and this is a nice King Tower activation that Rolex is attempting. Dagger Duchess does just enough damage to allow that King Tower activation. So nice start, but it is against Royal Giant, so won't be as impactful as some other win conditions.
Yeah, that's a good call. I think Royal Giant is definitely a good pick here. It synergizes so well with the Rage. And with Morten using already Bomber and Tesla, I really like the Royal Giant in the evolution slot to give him a chance here. Rolex has some pretty good defense, though. We do see the Mighty Miner, the Ice Spirit, Evo Tesla, and even the guards. The guards might be difficult to break through for Morten.
Yeah, the guards are going to be interesting because there is obviously ways to get on top of them, but the amount of damage that comes in right away is going to really help deal with the Bowler as well whenever he needs to get that surround down. The quick damage on an RG coming across the bridge, and this is nice. You get a little bit of a body block there from the Mighty Miner. Hog's going to get at least one shot, does get the second.
Wow. It's so surprising to see Hog Rider in the meta. Maybe he's expecting a Elixir Pump deck from Morten. But yeah, Hoggy Q really not going to be as good versus the Dagger Duchess. Ooh. And this is why. I mean, you can defend so easily versus the Dagger Duchess, get those positive Elixir trades versus the Hog, I mean, and then the RG on the counter push. Beautiful gameplay here.
Yeah, great stuff from Morten there, taking a little bit to give a lot. 1342 now to 2318. An early cycled Tesla, Evo Tesla comes out. And here we go, guards to catch the Ice Spirit and the Hog. Hog does get one hit though.
That's really surprising. I mean, yeah. Hog is going to keep getting these shots apparently, but the RG is going to be much more difficult to deal with. The other question is, what is Morten's final spell here? It could really be anything. It could be arrows. It could be a big spell. But if it is something like lightning, it's going to be almost impossible to defend.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Morten probably hoping for a lightning here as those archers deal with the Tesla. Royal Ghost does get on top of tower. Morten's arrows come out for the Firecracker. 1342, 1680, pretty close competition as of right now. And I think Morten probably takes damage here if it comes through. Doesn't spend any more than the bowler. He doesn't. Sets up another RG in the back. 2 minutes remain here in OT.
Evil Firecracker on the board and might be able to force out arrows and a rage onto that, but looks like Morten's going to find other ways to deal with it. Maybe wait for it to come on his side of the map so he can save the arrows for the next Firecracker. I really like this macro decision, but the Evil Firecracker does get a shot in tower.
Yeah, that is huge. Evil Firecracker is still so... You know she's coming, you know her range, you know what not to do, but you still have such a difficult time making sure she does not connect. 1374, 1231 as those arrows come in. Bowler does not get on top of the tower, but does have enough HP, and the Dagger Duchess is low, so Bowler should get a shot. There we go, late Ice Spirit. And Fisherman just in time here from Morten.
This game is so close. I think the biggest thing here is Morten probably wants to go same lane this matchup so he can defend and counter push with the Bowler, but defending counter pushing off lane with the Fisherman is also an option. That's what he's going for here. But as we head into the triple Elixir, these RG pushes are going to become more and more difficult to defend.
That's huge.
And Rolex calls the good game.
Yeah, he just didn't get enough out of his defense early on. He knew, I think, that Morten was back around to a Fisherman if he needed to take care of that Mighty Miner. Here we go. Firecracker at the bridge, though, trying to make something happen. High archers come in to deal with it, and that should do it. 3:10, 40 seconds remain. Still enough time for Rolex to pull off a miracle, but Morten knows he just needs to defend at this point, Juice.
Yeah, and that's what he does. He drops the Boulder down, blocking the lane. Firecracker trying to get something going, but the Boulder's going to splash that. Firecracker does stay alive at 1 HP, which gives him small chances here. It's getting quite a bit of damage. Evo Tesla on defense with the guards, but this Rage Evo RG is where it really shines. That's going to be tough to deal with.
I know we've talked about this before, and I'm happy to talk about it endlessly. I think the change to Rage is one of the greatest things that has ever happened in this game. It truly is.
Really practice with evolutions. I think that he's in a much better state. He calls the good luck for game 3. Whoever wins this is continuing on the winner's bracket. Whoever loses is heading down to the lower bracket here.
And whoever does lose this match will be awaiting the loser of our final first round matchup. Adriel and 40K, or Bancito, as you guys might know him, but one more in the books here for Rolex and Morten. And Morten looking like he's going to that Zodiac deck, which he says very nice things about on his stream. And the other side of it, Rolex, this is one of the things I love about the meta. There are so many viable win conditions, and Lava is definitely one of them right now.
Yeah, Morten decided to go with the Elixir Pump with the Earthquake out from Rolex, but Lava's a pretty smart pick. Lava versus this Golem deck is actually pretty good. You really, if you are playing as the Golem, you have to have good defense in single Elixir, which he actually pulls off fantastically here. But when it gets to double Elixir, it's a lot more difficult to deal with these Lava pushes.
Yeah, really clean defense there from Morten. I like what he's doing right now, just kind of forcing Elixir out of Rolex. Because he has the pump down, he knows he's going to be at the advantage by the time they both get to 10 here, or at least being able to be hyper aggressive and get to 10 at the exact same time. So we'll see what Rolex does. I don't know if he's going to Lava up again right now. I think he needs to worry a little bit more about getting on offense. And instead goes Barbs in the back and doesn't really have a good way to deal with that pump right now, Juice.
I mean, I think Morten has just won off of this. He used the 3-card cycle off of the Little Prince to get its 2 pumps down immediately. I mean, it looks like he's playing a cycle deck right now, but he's using Golem Beatdown. Rolex is going to try and respond with a Balloon Ops lane, but this push from Morten on the left side is going to be so difficult to deal with because he's up so much Elixir, and double Elixir is only coming through right now.
And I was just going to say, you know, I like that Morten is taking the damage here. The Little Prince in Morten's book probably should have gotten a shot on that balloon, but it doesn't. Ends up taking a little bit more damage than he probably would have liked. But this dual lane pressure with the Evo Barbs is so tough. You see how much Elixir is out on the left-hand side, and now you see an E-Drag and an Evo Barb with just a sliver of health pulling out more responses on that right-hand side. So while we do look pretty close here, Morten should be able to get back down to another pump, does get another golem down, and now is able to sacrifice some tower HP on the left-hand side here to maximize either push.
This is a lot closer than I thought it'd be. I mean, the fact that Rolex was able to survive that single Elixir with those 2 pumps down was really impressive. And now he's in a situation where after this defense, he's kind of going to be evened up in Elixir.
So Evo Zap comes down, no barbs to deal with this push on the left-hand side. E-Drag does not get on top of tower as a Golem comes down right now. We'll see if we see an aggressive balloon push. Barbs plus Loon, maybe? There it is.
You were right, Barbs plus Loon. Morten not having a Fireball or any sort of big spell to deal with this. He goes for a Tornado to pull back instead, and Little Prince as well. Dagger Duchess is out of daggers. Zap from Rolex to try and get the balloon hit, but the defense is successful. And here comes the Evo Barbs at the bridge on left-hand side to try and counter push with the healer on the right. I really like these dual lane pressures, preventing Fireball from getting too much value.
And that's exactly what you have to do with this deck too. You know, each one of those pushes can do so much. So the idea of putting all things in one lane is usually a huge mistake, even though that's what a lot of Golem players have done in the past. Dual lane has been doing well, but Rolex just a strike away. 923, 1009. Getting into triple Elixir here, and this is a really interesting thing with 2 decks that are as heavy as they are. Triple is going to be a very interesting conversation.
Healer Golem at the bridge. Dagger Duchess already out of daggers here. The Golem is not even below half HP. Barb's going to drop down from both players. Rolex having the Fireball. Zap down, and it actually just kind of cleans up the push.
Yeah.
But is this Little Prince going to be able to deal with this counter push though?
NATO pulls the balloon closer to get all the damage in, actually ends up paying off well there for Morten, avoids damage, avoids death damage, doesn't really have a good counter push at the moment, just goes naked battle healer at the bridge, Evo Barbs behind.
This is an interesting play. I feel like the opposing Evo Barbs are going to deal with this fairly well. And now here comes the Lava on the bridge. Evo Zap on defense, though, is solid. There's only 26 seconds left on the clock. And Rolex is the one with the big spell. Lava Hound is chipping away. Morten needs damage on the left-hand side here.
And that Lava is going to take the tower unless Morten defends. An early NATO, actually too early, now has to spend the Zap. And Rolex pulls off the third. Wow. Third, I say, upset of the day. The 3 most celebrated players in Clash Royale history have been usurped. Mugi, Mo, Morten, all down to the lower bracket, fighting for their lives in our very first monthly.
Evo Battle Ram recruits deck.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he goes in that direction. Of course, he does have the pieces for a Drill NATO control. Log out here, so expecting maybe something smaller and more cycling.
Okay, Log and Archer Queen. Could be a cycle type deck. Morten with a Mega Minion immediately made me think of Lava Hound, but then I see a Firecracker, and I'm not really sure what to say about that. Archer Queen getting a lot of value here to start us off.
Very good value. Is this Pigs maybe from Bancito?
Yeah, Pigs could make a lot of sense. Okay, looks like it is going to be the Miner, though. Once again, Miner is going to be taken out immediately by the Dagger Duchess. And Morten with a Tombstone. I guess it's a Roll Giant deck from Morten. Going to be taking a page out of Ban's book here.
And Morten shaking his head here, not liking the early exchanges in this one. Cycles his Fisherman in the back. Royal Giant more likely now even. From Morten as the Fisherman comes down. Mortar Miner from Ban here. And of course, you see Morten calling the good game. Mortar very nice against these Royal Giants.
I wonder why he's calling the good game so early. Makes me think maybe Morten's last card is Lightning and he isn't going to be able to play it since he played it previously. I don't know, could be an interesting conspiracy theory. but Skeleton King on the board. Fire Spirit does connect. That's a fireball's worth of damage for one elixir. We see more Morten head shakes here. Yeah, seems like something's going wrong here, or maybe he just doesn't like the matchup, but I'm not sure.
I'm just double checking a couple of things here. I don't see any repeated cards from Morten in this deck, so should be fine on that account.
I just mean that what if his last card's lightning? Then he won't be able to play. He won't get disqualified if he doesn't play it, but he might have to play with a 7-card deck here.
Could be possible that that was done, and that might have been the exchange. Now, of course, if it is and he wins this with 7 cards, that would be one of the great CRL moments. But again, that means it's almost impossible to break past these mortars.
Yeah, the Mortar and the Archer Queen. We do see a Skeleton King ability to try and force out the Archer Queen ability, and it's not lightning, so I am a conspiracy theorist after all. We see the fireball coming through, and I guess he just must not like this match. I mean, it does make sense. Mortar and the Archer Queen going to be tough to break through, even if you don't have the lightning, even if you can't play it or don't have it. So that's going to be something that he's going to have to try and figure out a way to deal with.
What do you call a Clash Royale conspiracy theorist, right? Clashing on? Is that what we're going with here?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Oh, here we go, right-hand side. I think the Archer Queen took a bit of a hit here, but she does stay invisible. Fireball not going to clear. Evo Firecracker staying on the board a very long time. Does she get one more shot on this Dagger Duchess Tower? And she does.
It activates King. It doesn't matter that much, though, because it is Royal Giant here that we're talking about. And Morten gonna have the damage lead for the first time this game. Ban setting up another Mortar on the defense here. I like this placement. 1 tile up to prevent any fireball value, and he goes for the poison cycle. Morten has to find a way to break through yet again, though. He did get the Firecracker connection earlier. Maybe he can try to do that again.
Queen plus guards at the bridge, log out of cycle, and Miner to pull the Skeleton King way to the back, although push starting to build here. Archer Queen stays alive long enough to make this a little annoying here. Firecracker goes to the left-hand lane, Mortar on its work. And now aggressive RG here, so not going back front, instead just getting right into the bridge fight is Morten, trying to see if he can cycle his way back around to another Royal Giant. 1796 to 1809, now 1751. Lead changes back and forth. Ban choosing to add to that one with the poison.
Poison down. We see a pre-fisherman trying to lock onto something. We do see the lock onto the Archer Queen, which at least will slow down the shot of the Queen ability, but the Dagger Duchess locks on top of the Royal Giant, which really starts to shred down the HP. Morten really desperately trying to cycle back to another Royal Giant here, and the Skeleton King ability trying to get any sort of damage he can.
And look at that, a ton of damage. Skeletons sneak through. Evo Mortar does comes out late. Firecracker will distract, log to clean through, and Royal Giant's gonna connect. Royal Giant's going to connect for a ton of damage, and Ban had a great game, lost it right there. Morten from the lower bracket, 2-0, huge win for the 5-time world finalist.
GG's. I mean, this is the bad parts of the Dagger Duchess. Every tower troop, every card in the game has its ups and downs, its pros and cons, and
perfectly. I think he's going to collect himself and recognize, hey, I'm a good player. I just have to eliminate a few mistakes, and I've got this. I'm going to be able to win this set.
All right, here we go. Juicy and I jumping into our next matchup. And we did not see any Royal Ghost from Ban in his match against Adriel, so switching things up dramatically here in match number 2, Juicy.
Yeah, Royal Ghost and Arrows. I would assume it's going to be a Royal Giant deck, which is what he's extremely comfortable with. And I think that's a good choice. You know, use your highest comfort deck in the first match. You know, stop trying to get super fancy with the deck picks and stay with what you're comfortable with. I think that gives him the highest chance of winning against Morten here.
And Morten making a little change, going with a Juicy J special.
Yep, Electro Giant at the bridge. Fisherman gonna try and pull here. Tornado does a great job though. Ban is, not on his head though. He knows the Fisherman's gonna pull that Electro Giant in range of the Dagger Duchess in the opposite lane though, and that's gonna be solid defense all around.
And NATO was nearly able to get the Fisherman into a worse spot, but I think maybe it got body blocked a little bit from pulling all the way in.
Yeah.
And that was very, very good for Ban. You saw Morten not totally pleased with the results of what he thought was a good play.
Yeah, it seemed like a really scary push, but that Giant Skelly actually one of the best counters to Electro Giant because of that body block, keeping the Fisherman a little bit more towards the middle, but also just the fact that it does a pretty solid amount of damage. Overall, though, I would give Morten the matchup advantage here. The Goblin Cage can be really tough to break through with Royal Giant. As well, the Bowler and the Phoenix can be tough to break through since Ban does not have a big spell.
And it's interesting to see the resurgence of certain cards, in particular the Giant Skeleton, which was one of the mainstays of the CRL meta back in 2019 through some of early 2020, and then after some touches began to fall off. But Giant Skeleton, very specific use cases, Juicy, but very powerful in those use cases.
Yeah, I think Giant Skeleton, especially with the Dagger Duchess introduction to the meta, has given the Giant Skelly even more hope because Giant Skelly has a lot of health. He does a great job of tanking those daggers to, make them run out so you can break through with these pushes. The problem, though, is that Morten's defense, it doesn't really rely on the Dagger Duchess, which is why I really like Electro Giant in the current meta. We see the Bomber, the Bowler, the Phoenix, the Goblin Cage, and even the Tornado that can be used on these defenses. Royal Giant does get one shot on tower, but it's not going to be enough to win the game just because Morten does have that lightning in his back pocket.
We are seeing a little less spammy of the beatdown troop play out of Morten here in this matchup. We've seen, talk about it a bunch, the Golem being played hyper-aggressive, the Lava Hound being played hyper-aggressive. Talk to me about you being specifically a very solid, one of the top E-Giant players. Why is Morten playing more conservatively here?
Yeah, I mean, E-Giant, like I said earlier, is just that one deck that's a beatdown deck and a control deck at the same time. You're able to defend and counter push, and when it comes down to it, you are able to attack aggressively and make those big pushes as well. Right now, he is in the damage deficit. Ban continues to just stack the lanes and go for the arrow cycle. So Morten is going to have to find an opportunity to attack eventually. But hopefully he's able to do that in double or triple elixir.
Ban sets up with the Giant Skeleton and just shutting down this lane. And we have not seen really much of any play in the left-hand lane. Both players choosing to go to one side. Now the Evo Archers will split. We'll see if Morten decides to put a little pressure in the opposite direction. NATO to hold. Cage will be out of cycle. I think he can get close, but gonna have to DPS this RG down. And now here we go. E-Giant in front, takes one to see if he can give one. Morten looking to get on offense and triple.
Yeah, can you break through this Giant Skeleton, though? Lightning going to drop down, getting some solid damage. Fisherman on the board. He's not going to tornado that in because the E-Giant is pretty much already gone. This is not looking good, though, for Morten. Wait, here comes the Evo. Barry with Tornado, though, gets 2 shots on tower. Can he deal with the counter push?
So here we go. Last chance for Morten. 23 seconds left. This is game number 1. Elimination not on the board yet. Lightning cycle in. Royal Giant down opposite direction. 15 seconds left. NATO's going to have to play defense here. Up ahead by a hair right now is Morten. Arrows should be available for Ban. Does Morten get back to Lightning one more time? Arrows come down. They give a ever so slight lead. Lightning does come down, though, in time. There is no chance to block that. Your troops don't have the HP for it. Morten takes game number 1 in a very tightly contested opening game.
And for like second place people to actually get the golden ticket. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's probably my mindset there.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting conversation there because it's like Morten was not the #1 leaderboard player last year, but Mohamed Light did win every golden ticket, basically, right?
Yeah.
So it becomes like a sure thing versus something you're kind of rooting on or hoping for to happen. So I guess if you were another player, at least in my mind, I want to play, or I want Mo Light to get it because I want to go to World Finals. He's going to be there no matter what it feels like, and I want to beat him there. Morten, the other thing is we've seen him not win a monthly final and still get there based off of leaderboard points, and that's a lot harder to do this year. So I think I'm with you. I think you go with Mo Light here, and Mo Light going right back to his comfort deck, this deck that he created. And I was so glad that he played it, but I'm also so glad I got to be back on the cast while this deck is being played because it is so fascinating how good that Ice Golem is at body blocking at the bridge and also setting up Evo bombers, because the way that units, like the way that the Ice Golem doesn't stop no matter what, and the way that units track and follow it. So really, really exciting. Although this is a bit of a swerve. We see the AQ in instead of the Little Prince, maybe wanting that Little Prince down the line, and seeing that AQ still provides a good 3-card cycle, still protects against Airwell.
Yeah, leave it to Muhammad Light to figure out a way to continue to play Minor Poison, right? That's what he's doing here with the Ice Golem, and I don't blame him. Muhammad Light playing Minor Poison is so fascinating to watch. His defense is so on point. He understands when to go for the Minor. He understands that if he makes it to triple elixir up damage, that he's guaranteed to win. And yeah, I like the Ghost as well. I think the Ghost is something that we don't talk about enough on the cast, and also just in general, but Ghost is pretty good versus Dagger Duchess, because obviously since it's invisible a lot. Wait a second, this Archer Queen, he uses the Fisherman against his opponent.
Wow.
And gets his Archer Queen locked on tower.
And the reset there, Evo Skelly's going to come out against this Evo RG, going to do a ton of damage, and that is why he is Muhammad Light. That was an incredible sequence there, and Morten's going to get 2, 3 RG shots, 4 RG shots out of it. Wow, actually a great fire back there.
Yeah, Skelly Surround going to stop the Ghost from getting extra hit, but here comes the Evo Royal Giant at the bridge. Archer Queen down. Dagger Duchess not completely in daggers yet, but the Evo Tesla just really shutting down everything on the defense along with that Queen ability.
So much value to that Evo Tesla. That fireball feels like a little bit of an overextension, and now we're going to see Morten probably hurt for it a little bit. Minor goes to the front. Nothing there to stop the Evo Skellys as of right now. AQ ability, I don't know if that was the best ability.
Hurt 1 elixir just to, you know, clean up the Evo Skellies, just to make sure that your Duchess is full on daggers in case of a counter push. We see Morten resetting here with the Royal Giant in the back of the right. You guys are probably wondering why in the heck is Royal Giant going down the right side on the Super Healthy Tower. It's because the Evo RG on the left side is coming up right next. The dual lane RG pressure is something we've seen a lot, but it's definitely what Morten needs to do if he wants to try and break through. But it's not going to be easy. I mean, look at this solid defense from Mo.
Yeah, I mean, it feels near impossible. Now the Fishboy distracted by the Evo Skeletons there, not going to pull the AQ in time, but really it's about being able to keep up with the cycle of Muhammad Light, and Morten can't do that. He doesn't have a champion, right? So Mo already gets him there, and Mo has a faster cycle. So it's just one of those things where there's always going to be that option available, and the only way to set up a 2 RG push is by starting one in the back, which really lets your opponent know what you're planning on doing.
Yeah, I mean, he knows what Morten is planning, but Morten has to do it nonetheless. The problem is this Evo Tesla, once again, absolutely shredding the Royal Giant, and now the counter push is on Mo's side. He's got a Ghost on the right, he's got a Queen going down, and all Morten can do is set up another Royal Giant, but there's only 45 seconds on the clock here, and I think he'd rather have the Evo Royal Giant on the left side here with that tower down to 16-12.
And it's tough because of where the cycle was at. He needed to get one going down the lane that you don't want Mo focusing on, but Mo's too smart for that. Mo knows he doesn't need any more damage to win this, obviously, and all he needs to do is overspend on defense. So there you go. Evo RG on the right-hand side. RG comes down on the left. Evo Tesla in the middle. AQ still alive. And this is just a lockdown defense from Muhammad Light.
That Evo Tesla, man, I mean, when it came out, everyone thought it was just bad. I mean, I thought it was terrible, but I mean, look at the Evo Tesla. He places it up high in a spot where you think it might not get much value, but it just hits everything with the stun, and everything's locked down, and that's going to be a very nice damage lead, a dominant victory from Muhammad Light in game number 1.
Yeah, it's like an evolution zap coupled with a fireball coupled with a building, right? Because that,
I mean, I gotta agree with you on that one. Even the Rage didn't seem to get as much value versus the Evo Skeletons that he would have hoped. I mean, a lot of the time with that matchup, you're hoping to break through with your Evo RG with the Rage. But, I mean, Muhammad Light wasn't really relying on those Skeletons. Now for the next game, we got Morten coming out with the Hog Rider here. That's interesting.
Yeah, a Hog Rider that goes into a NATO. And Dagger Duchess, obviously, couldn't have expected anything otherwise. And I don't know, man. This feels like maybe one of those moments where Morten starts to do a little bit more than he should. But also interesting other conversation here, and the 2 champions that have come out. We saw how good Monk was before. Obviously, really good against the Dagger Duchess, really good against Little Prince and the Evo Bomber. And then I think this is the first time we're seeing the Golden Knight, which is going to be a no big spell Golden Knight NATO deck.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. Evo Bomber going to get one shot on tower there. No daggers for Morten though, so this push looks pretty scary, but I think he's got it. What a beautiful Tesla with the King Tower activation. Really solid play. With the King Tower being active, the Dark Prince isn't as big of a threat.
Yeah, and so instead of not taking any damage, Morten opts to get that King Tower going, now down by about 600. And I mean, this is kind of tough when you talk about what you can cycle in the back, how you're going to get on top of the bats, the ability to play the drill as a last-ditch effort to pull in the hog, but that NATO is going to be more than enough most of the time going up against that Dagger Duchess. Juicy, this is a really tough matchup in my mind.
Yeah, it does seem like a really tough matchup for Morten. I'm just so fascinated overall by Mohamed Light's deck, though. I mean, he's got an Electro Dragon in a drill deck. I don't know if we've ever seen something like that before. Usually Electro Drag is paired with these big beatdown type decks, but to see it in with a Gold Knight drill NATO, I mean, the synergy's there. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's a really solid deck pick overall, because not only that, but the Electro Dragon is one of the best monk counters in the game.
Yeah, really interesting there with the E-Drag. I mean, maybe the thing is right now is people are just seeing how dominant E-Drag is, just because the ability to get on top of it. Wow, and that connection from the Dark Prince, another one down to 1940 and almost 2 untouched towers here for Mohamed Light. Morten needed to figure something out, but you said this earlier, we've said it again, Hog Rider is just not the wave in this current meta. No.
That Hog Rider is just getting deleted every single time. The Firecracker is the only source of a decent amount of damage. What Morten really needs to do is he needs to get that Monk in front of the Hog Rider and needs to get the ability off right away, deflect all the daggers. That is definitely what he's looking for. But this late Monk ability, it does allow for the Firecracker damage, but it's not really deflecting as many daggers as you want.
I think that's a really great call there, Juicy. I think he just really needs to figure out a way to get that Monk involved in the conversation a little bit more on the offense, not the defense. And, you know, like you said, Firecracker has really been the mainstay in terms of Morten being able to create damage. And now we're going to see a Monk come down again. And I think he needs one more card before Hog is back in cycle.
And the Electro Dragon's a threat. The Drill's a threat. The Log does come down there. Daggers out, or Duchess out of daggers, though. The Electro Drag resets the tower to the bats, and the Evo Tesla is forced out on the defense. But that looks like a solid opportunity for maybe an Evo Bomber to be able to get to tower. I'm not sure.
That's an interesting call, right? You play something right at the bridge, you go Evo Bomber off to the side after the wave comes out. You know, one thing that's really interesting about this, Juicy, is how close this game actually is, in spite of feeling like Mohamed Light has been in the driver's seat the whole time.
Yeah, that's
Although that extra bit of damage.
Yeah, the extra bit of damage comes through, but this might be the push he's looking for. The Monk ability drops right away, deflects all the daggers. We have the Evo Firecracker, we have second Firecracker. Hog Rider is with 3-card cycle, so you're going to be back to the Hog right away. The Dagger, or the Duchess is out of daggers now, so the Hog will get a shot on tower. Firecracker is getting some more chip, and like you said, this match is a lot closer than anyone could have thought.
This is a tough cycle for Mohamed Light to be in. He's back to NATO, so he's going to be able to pull this Hog back with the Firecracker. Dagger Duchess doing enough damage? No! And there you go, another hit. Morten in the lead by 5.
Okay, Golden Knight counter pushing. Electro Drag counter pushing. Monk down on defense with the NATO. The dash does not connect. Morten's defense is patient here. He's letting some goblin hits to make sure the goal line doesn't get the tower, but the Tesla maybe misplayed, getting taken out right away. Evil Firecracker, though, cleaning everything up. Drill through, no daggers. Log, though.
Oh my goodness.
Defense.
Magic Archer does line up, but now the EQ comes in. He needs to stop that AQ. Wow, Magic Archer hit, and that was unbelievable from Morten, able to stick with it, beat the cycle, do exactly what you called out minutes ago, Juicy, which was get that 3-card cycle going, but more importantly, get that Monk in front of the Hog, and then get that. How useless Earthquake is unless you're against the Elixir Pump. And now we have Earthquake out, and Elixir Pump is available.
That's a good call. That really is. We do have an Evo Knight for Mo. Maybe he's going to be pairing this Evo Knight with some sort of beatdown deck. Or maybe he wants to try and be unpredictable as well. There's just so many mind games when it comes to like deck picks and all that, especially with all the evolutions.
Oh yeah, I used to not envy analysts before, and now it's become even more difficult when you talk about how many different layers are added in there.
Future King over here.
What also is really interesting about this, Juicy, is that game 3 and there's 2 Little Princes available, which is really surprising considering that Little Prince is by far and away the favorite champion. Both these guys holding pause until they get to the make it or break it game of the tournament.
Yeah, that's a good call. I think the Little Prince late game here, I'm sure for both players, it was solid to keep them for the end. I bet both of these players expected a game 3 to happen, considering the caliber. I really want to talk about quickly, though, this Mega Minion. I think we've seen a solid amount of Mega Minion today in non-lava decks. We've seen it in like a lot of different beatdown decks, but also in this balloon deck. I think it's such a solid card. It deals with the Little Prince really well. It deals with Skeleton Dragons, but especially the Electro Dragon. We've seen so much Electro Dragon. Mega Minion's a great counter to that, so I really like this Mega Minion pick from Morten here.
Yeah, it's really interesting with Mega Minion. Like, do you think that Mega Minion is better than Phoenix in these situations? Because I know that for a long time people were saying, well, if you can play Mega Minion, why wouldn't you just play Phoenix? And I don't know if it's because of the cycle or what are your thoughts on maybe why it's Mega Minion more than Phoenix?
Phoenix would definitely do a lot better right about now on that defense. That was a lot of damage. But
Yeah.
I think the main reason is just because after all those nerfs, the one elixir, it's kind of like the Knight versus Valkyrie. Sure, a Valkyrie, you'll get more splash damage, but it costs 1 elixir, and 1 elixir, especially these high-level games, can actually matter a lot.
So nice defense there initially, but now Morten has to deal with this next wave, which is a Knight and 2 Evo Archers behind. High guards here to pick him off the board. Mo looking for it and now has a perfect ability coming in. That's the second time Zap has come out defensively in this situation where you have a Guardian and a Little Prince on tower, and both times getting a lot of damage for Mohamed Light. Obviously 1646, a little bit better than what he just got, but Morten playing a lot of defense right now, probably a little bit more than he'd like.
Yeah, I'm trying to think right now, what does Morten have to do to be able to come back in this game? And I think what it's going to come down to is he needs to get the Evo Zap in cycle or the Skeleton Dragons, and he needs to get an Evo Knight in front of the balloon. If he can do that, he has a chance to come back because Light doesn't have a building to pull the balloon to the opposite lane Dagger Duchess, and that could be a huge game changer. And here it is.
Yeah, and there you go. Knight out front does get body blocked. Mo was ready for it, and the snowball was out of cycle, so it felt like it was almost like Mo baiting it out. You got an Evo Knight on the board? Let me throw a snowball out. Now it seems like your balloon has even more power, and Mo just had every answer in the book there to deal with Morten's push, and this game looking even worse than the last one for Morten.
Yeah, we've seen this balloon deck come out a lot today, but it doesn't seem to be doing too well. And that's because these pro players, they know when to block at the bridge. And then when that balloon goes in front and the Dagger Duchess unloads the entire clip onto the balloon, it just wipes it out like it was never there.
Yeah, and you look at the amount of air responses that Mohamed Light had in this deck just in case Morten wanted to go to the skies. And I think what you said is really, really important. You know, a lot of players or more casual players out there don't really understand matchup a lot, or maybe what analysts are looking for. They're not looking for 80-20, 90-10, 75-25. They're doing what you said, Juicy. They're looking for 60-40 at best, but mainly not having a 100-0 matchup against you with what's available. And right there, it was one of those